Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. Today we got a really special thing we're going to take a look at today. There's actually two things that I got, but we're going to take a look at one of them today. At the point of recording this, it is the 4th of July, so to everyone out there, happy 4th of July. Hope you guys are having a good one. I managed to stop by some stores earlier today with my family looking for stuff for the 4th of July, obviously, and took advantage of the final day of the sales that they have going on at Target. And we got two things here that I bought. We got the Jurassic World Legacy Collection Reimagined Real Feel Triceratops, as well as the Frenzy Pack Suaptra, I believe is how you pronounce it. But I got both of these at my local Target. Took advantage of the sales going on today. So yeah, I'm very happy to have these in my collection. Been eyeing these for a while, but for today's video we're going to take a look at the Triceratops first, because I've been really dying to get my hands on this figure, and I'm really happy to have it. And it's mainly just a huge thanks for Target, the Target deal that's been going on. So that made it, you know, much easier to acquire this figure for sure. We're going to take a look at this today, and I'm really happy. Let's take a closer look at the box here, because the box looks amazing on this one. This new Reimagined thing that Mattel's been doing is really cool, because the packaging is like so vibrant, and it's a huge eye catcher on the shelves. Whenever you turn into the shelves and you see there's a Reimagined, like, their packaging is really vibrant, and it catches your eye very nicely. So I really do appreciate that, because their packaging is just really cool. I really like what Mattel's been doing with the packaging. So down here we got the cool Legacy Collection T-Rex logo right there. It says Jurassic World Legacy Collection, Real Feel Triceratops, Mattel, and the really cool Reimagined logo. I really like how this looks like, the little caution tape sign going on right there, and the cool Ford Explorer colors going on the outside of the box, which is really nice. And you got a really gorgeous backdrop of just jungle, like jungle vegetation. You know, it looks right at home on one of the islands, like you could say Jurassic Park or Isla Sorna, one of those. It just looks really good. So I really do like how Mattel kind of gives us kind of a cool little backdrop on their packaging, because the detailing on the artwork is really nice. You see the rocks and the little stream right there. Just a bunch of foliage and plants everywhere. Just looks super good. And you got a little electronic symbol up here saying that it is electronic. It says try me. Then you got the Real Feel logo right there. Makes it pop. So yeah, I really am digging the packaging that they have for the Reimagined line. And this is a pretty good size Triceratops too. Here on this side just says Jurassic World Legacy Collection. Same again on the other side. And on the back, there isn't really a whole lot. I kind of wish there would have been, you know, a lot more stuff going on back here. You got the Jurassic World Legacy Collection logo, some Facts App stuff. Says it's got roaring sounds, Real Feel Triceratops, the Reimagined logo, and just a nice picture of the figure itself. And it says Real Feel, Mattel, and then a bunch of other boring stuff right there. But I'm surprised they didn't do like a whole backdrop, you know, of this guy like on a diorama or something, kind of like what they did with the 93 classic figures, and not even any, you know, pictures showcasing other figures in the line. So that is pretty interesting. So the back of the box is, you know, not as eye-catching as the front of the box for sure, but you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the awesome packaging for this figure. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this awesome Triceratops. Alrighty, so here we have the Real Feel Triceratops out of the box. And I just want to say first, there is no assembly required for this one. You just basically cut the two ties and little foot things out, and then, you know, the figure is good to go out of the box just like that. And wow, this figure is amazing. It was already amazing in the box, but just taking it out and taking just a good feel, you know, throughout the entire figure, just, you know, just holding it and playing around with it. This figure is amazing. This is definitely one of the best Triceratops figures, not only from Mattel, but probably out of any Jurassic toy line, in my opinion. This figure is just, I can't really describe it. It is such a great figure, and I don't know, I just love everything about it. This is like a really great Triceratops toy. Like even if it wasn't Jurassic Park, for example, this would still make for a really cool Triceratops toy. That this is like something that I would love to have, or I would have loved to have as a kid. You know, as a kid, I didn't really have any Jurassic Park Triceratops figures except for one, you know, electronic one, and that was basically it. You know, I always wanted a bigger one. This one, this is what I would have loved to have, because it's everything I would have wanted to have in a Triceratops figure. You know, it's a good size. You know, it's got that real feel plastic in it, or the rubber, and it's just a really cool sculpt, and it's just an awesome Triceratops figure in general. So I don't know, I really love the way this one looks. Mattel did an excellent job with this figure. So Mattel, you did awesome with this Triceratops. It is definitely one of the best from Mattel, and just one of the best in general. So, because this is like something that, I don't know, there's just something about the sculpt on this figure that is very similar to Kenner. Like there's something very Kenner about this Triceratops figure. I don't know what it is, but there's just, I don't know, it could be just the design, it could be the colors, it could even be the size, maybe just the overall sculpt. I don't know what it is, but there's just something about this one that's just, it's very Kenner-like, and the fact that this is part of the Reimagined line, it fits so well, in my opinion. So yeah, I just love everything about this one. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the detailing that we have going on here. Starting off with the head, you get a really nice, you know, sculpt work on the head. And actually, one thing I want to point out too is that this Triceratops seems to almost be like a mix between, you know, the Jurassic World Triceratops and then the Jurassic Park Triceratops. A lot of it seems to be more based on the Jurassic Park one, but there's just some little parts around the face that just seem kind of somewhat kind of inspired by the Jurassic World Triceratops in a way. Maybe some of the other detailings around here, like these little sculpted lines on the tail, that just kind of seem like something from the Jurassic World Triceratops, or even this little texturing up here. I don't know, yeah, it just kind of seems like something that Mattel would do. They just kind of combined, you know, the best parts of both worlds, I guess, into one figure. So that's just what I kind of see. But yeah, the detailing on the face looks really good. Nice amount of lined textures all throughout the, you know, majority of the face. You got some nice larger pebble looking scales here around the back of the eye. The eye socket is really nicely sculpted. The nostril, the beak looks really nice as well. Nice detail on there. You can kind of see a little bit of the tongue in there, and on the inside of the beak. And I'm okay if this one doesn't have an articulated jaw. I think it's fine just the way it looks. And then you got a the nose horn right here which looks really nice as well. And then you got the little jugal, you know, spike right here on the side of the face, which looks kind of nice, kind of interesting though, because it almost looks like it has like the two digits, or the two little divots, like the Jurassic World Triceratops, but then it's kind of like a little spike right here, which is kind of laying against the face, which is pretty interesting. Doesn't really stick right out, so that is a pretty interesting design choice. The eyes look really nice as well, and I really like what Mattel did with the two brow horns up here. The detailing looks really great. Definitely reminds me of the brow horn detailing that we got in the Jurassic Park Triceratops, where it almost has like this cracked looking look to it. So I really do like the detailing on there. I also like how the two horns are actually separate molded pieces. These are not painted. These are molded in this color and attached to the face, or the skull of this trike, which is really nice, because that means the kids can play with this and these horns are not going to get scuffed. However, the nasal horn and the beak are painted, so those will get scuffed if you play with it too much, I would say. But still, I really like what they did with the horns. I like how they're just a separate molded piece. Nice detailing on the around the part where the horn is attached to the skull. I like that. And the frill is really nice. Really nice big wide frill. Looks really good. Nice amount of detailing with the scales all over the frill, which looks really good. The detailing on that is really spot on. Very crisp, I would say. I like the different sizes of scales on the frill, you know, circling the frill, and you got some here in these little open spaces. And it's just, yeah, the detailing is just awesome. And then you got the row of little spikes surrounding the frill as well. I like how you got one spike in the center, which is very accurate to the Jurassic Park Triceratops, so I do like that. But yeah, the rest of the detailing on the frill looks great. Even the face head on looks really good as well. Definitely reminds me of the Jurassic Park Triceratops. Here on the back of the frill, hopefully you guys can see it. There we go. So you got really nice detail here on the back of the frill. Just the same amount of like scale looking detail, just like the front of the frill, which looks really good as well. And then we move on to the body, and the body looks really good on this one. Really, you got like a whole plethora of detail that's going on this Triceratops. First of all, you got a lot of cool detail in the folds and creases of the skin, like as if like that's where the muscle is, or that's where the loose parts of the skin are that you'd see, you know, moving around as the animal is walking, you know, stretching and pulling and all that stuff. Got a nice amount of creases on the neck right here, going down here, even the bottom of the neck, which looks really nice. Even got some nice detail here on the underside of the frill, which looks great. My phone's not focusing that much. Nice amount of detail there, nice creases in the skin right there. Got a lot of nice folds around the limbs right here. I like that, like how it just kind of has like the little creases in the skin right there, which looks really nice. And you got some nice little folds right here along the side of the body. And even on the underside, it looks really great as well. Nice little wrinkly texture in the skin, which looks really good. And you got a little bit more of that here on the back end. We just got some nice little line texturing on the end of the tail, which looks really good. And you got a lot of nice muscle definition as well. You know, a little bit here on the shoulders and here on the arms and even the legs. The legs and arms are very muscular, very beefy on this trike figure, which actually works really well for the dinosaur. So I really do like that detail with the, you know, musculature and the creases in the skin and all that. So that looks really nice. Like I said before, the texturing here at the top of the body reminds me of the skin texture on the Jurassic World Triceratops, where it kind of has like that almost like wrinkly, you know, texture. Maybe almost like the texture of what you get like on a tree bark maybe, or maybe even that of an elephant. But still, it looks really nice though, the way that Mattel applied it, and it kind of fades into scales, which is pretty much like the Jurassic Park Triceratops. So really nice detail in the scales right there, which looks really good. Especially for this being rubber, that looks really good. And then here at the end of the tail here, it's just basically more of like this cool, nice lined texture. Like you got this texture that kind of goes down and eventually fades into some lines that kind of face in a different direction. Kind of get that more, you know, wrinkly skin texture, which actually looks really good and feels really good, especially with it being rubber. So I really do like that. I like the detail that Mattel has put into this, even on the back end right here. Really nice sculpted detail all over the sculpt right here. Yeah, just really nicely done, Mattel, on this one. Same with the other side, nice amount of detail with the skin folds and all that and the detailing. And here on the limbs themselves, got a nice mix of just some lined texture as well as some scales. Like you got some really nice scales going on right here and some nice wrinkly skin texture, which looks really nice. You can even see where the elbow joint is and some nice little creases. And the hands themselves look really nice detail on those. Same with the little hoof-like toes, which looks really great as well. And here on the hind leg, again, beautiful muscle definition on the sculpt of this figure. You got a mix of some scales up here, which look really good, and they kind of fade into like some more of this line texture all over the foot here, even on the ankle, and especially where the kneecap is right there, which looks really nice. And you got some nice lines going on here along the side of the thigh, which looks great. So great detail there. And the feet look really good as well. Nice detail in the toes and the, you know, the claws on there. And nice detailing on the bottoms of the hands and feet as well. which look really good. You can see the little scan code right there, as well as the Jurassic logo right there. I also like you got some more scales even here on the top part of the leg, at least where it'll attach to the body, so really nice on that too. And then you got one of the classic parts of the Jurassic Park Triceratops, and that is all of these osteoderms covering the entire body, for the most part, of this figure. You got some smaller ones here on the shoulder, right here, and you got some smaller ones here along the neck, and then you got some larger ones. You know, they're a lot more prominent here on the side of the body, which look really good as well. You got some smaller ones here at the top of the back, you know, where the spinal column would be. And you got some sprinkled, you know, osteoderms going on the lower part of the side of the body right here, which looks really good. Then you got a nice array of osteoderms here on the side of the leg, which look really nice. You got little one right there, and you got some kind of sprinkling down along above the leg, and as it goes down the tail in a couple of rows, which looks really good. I like that. You can see on the other side as well. So yeah, the little scoots here look really good on this figure. Very, very nicely done with how Mattel handled those little osteoderms, and they pop out really nicely, especially with the shading and all that. So that looks really good. I really do love that, how Mattel handled the little scoots on there. And yeah, just the detail on this real feel Triceratops is just amazing on this one. The colors are very good as well. We'll get into more of that later on, but I really do like, you know, how the colors look on this one. You got like this kind of like this greenish gray color for the primary, you know, that's the primary color throughout the entire body, is like this grayish green color, which fits really well for this Triceratops, especially for it being a Jurassic Park Triceratops, I guess, in terms of being a toy. The colors look really good, and then you got like this dark grayish black tone for some parts of the body. You got some kind of circling basically the entire of the frill right there, and you got some highlighting around the eye socket, which makes the eyes and the head pop a bit more. The eye is painted in a nice yellow color, with the pupil being the same color as this dark color, or maybe just the darker green color, but still it looks really nice. And you got a bit more like that dark blackish color kind of striping down on the back of this Triceratops, and that goes down pretty much close down to the tail. Doesn't go all the way, but still the way it's been applied actually works really well in my opinion. So yeah, the way they apply the striping on the Triceratops looks really good. Then you got like this light green color for the underside. You got the underside here of the jaw, and then the underside of the neck, and that pretty much goes all the way down through the underbelly right here and stops right here, roughly where the tail begins. So that's really cool how it kind of goes down. Sometimes Mattel likes to have it cut like right here and doesn't continue down, so I really give Mattel credit for having them continue all the way down basically to the tail, even though it wouldn't have hurt if it continued all the way down, but still the way Mattel handled it I think is pretty good for what it is. So I'm not really too angry with how they did it here. So yeah, Mattel did an excellent job with the underbelly colors, and just the colors in general on this figure is just amazing. And it's basic, but it also works really well for a Jurassic Park Triceratops toy. And you got like this nice beige color for the beak, the nasal horn, the brow horns, and these little spikes are along the frill, which makes them stand out. So that looks really good. I really like how Mattel did that. Would have been nice to see a little bit of a pink color for the tongue, but it's not the worst thing. And then, you know, it would have been nice to see some sort of tone of like a grayish color for the nails on the hands and feet. But again, it's not entirely a bad thing. I think it looks good the way it is. It does have like that nice Kenner feel where not everything is painted, but it still like gets the job done. So I really can't find any major complaints on this figure. This one is just, it's spot on in my opinion. And actually the colors really remind me of the Kenner Jurassic Park Triceratops toy that came out from the first movie, which I'm sure is probably inspiration, especially with the colors. So, and I believe the nails on that figure weren't painted as well. So, you know, I think it works good for this one as well. And of course, you know, it would have been cool if like some of the little osteoderms were painted in like a different, like a grayish color, but still, it is not a horrible thing in my opinion. I think it still looks good even when they're not painted. So, but yeah, you know, that's just my opinion. Still looks pretty good though, for sure. And yeah, the colors are great on this one. Same with the sculpt. Let's go over articulation. So the head right here, I really like the head articulation. It can move up and down as well as left and right. So you can get some really nice, you know, turning its head positions, which is really cool. And it's actually on a ball joint, so it can swivel, you know, 360 and all that, and just have it move all the way around. This is awesome. I love this articulation joint for this Triceratops. It works so well, especially with the fact that it's a ceratopsian. I feel like ceratopsians should always have like this ball joint of a head, in my opinion. So that looks really nice. Here, the front limbs, they can move forward and back pretty smoothly, I would say. And they can also pivot in and out as well. And here for the hind legs, a bit more of a stiff ratchet feel, but still pretty cool. And those can also pivot in and out as well. So nice articulation joints for the Triceratops. It's basic, but again, like this real feel Triceratops that definitely has a lot of inspiration from Kenner. It's basic, but it works so well. And then there's no other articulation joint on this one whatsoever. So everything else is just kind of tied to the action features and all that stuff. So not even an action feature. I don't even know why I said that. More like just a sound feature. The action feature is pretty much just the real feel gimmick. So I really do appreciate that. In terms of the real feel gimmick, it's pretty much the entire body that's real feel. Sadly, the head is not real feel. I mean, maybe you got some softer plastic for the frill, and obviously the horns are made of a separate plastic as well. But would have been nice to see kind of like the face be, or the entire skull right here to be kind of real feel or rubber, kind of like the Pentaceratops that Mattel made, where the whole frill was like super rubbery, and same with the horns and all that stuff. That would have been really cool, but I think the way Mattel did it, you know, still works too, in my opinion. But in terms of the real feel, you know, here, it's just got like this really nice rubber feeling. The rubber feels really good on this figure. It feels very naturalistic, feels like something that, you know, Kenner would have made, and just works so well. So this part of the body is the most squishy, I would say. You got some squishy material or feeling up here. It's a bit more stiff, and then as you go down the tail, it becomes a bit more squishy, but it's a bit more stiff than what it was like right here. So still some nice, you know, rubbery material. The tip of the tail is actually very rubbery, very kind of bendy and all that, so I really do like that. And then here at the bottom, just some more of that rubber material. You got some here on the underside as well, and even here towards the neck area. So it's a bit more stiff there, but still the rubber material is really good on this one. And I don't think the tail has a bendy wire in it. I don't think so. And that's okay, because I usually don't really use those anyway. But still has like that naturalistic flow to it, you know, because as a kid I would love to move this on my own to give it a bit more life. So that is really cool. So yeah, that's basically it for the entire figure. Let's go over some sound effects, which is the only other feature that is on this figure. The button is hidden underneath the rubber up here behind the back. So let's go ahead and check out the sound effects, because you can see the little speaker hole right there. Alright, so one thing I noticed is that the sound effects are basically the same Triceratops sound effects that Mattel has been giving to their Triceratops figures since they first started the line back in 2018. In fact, the sound effects here are the exact same sound effects from the Roarvore's Triceratops from the Fallen Kingdom toy line, which are pretty good sounds, I would say. They kind of match like the herbivorous grunts that you get from like a Triceratops or something like that. I know that one sound is kind of similar to that of a T-Rex. It pretty much is the T-Rex sound, but it actually works pretty well for a trike or an herbivore, in my opinion. But still, I think the sounds are really good on this one. And now for being a real feel dinosaur, I'm okay with if they don't have sound effects. You know, all we need sometimes is just a cool, large scaled, you know, rubber real feel dinosaur, you know, just to play with. So um, I'm okay if it didn't come with sound effects, but still the sound effects are pretty cool regardless. So yeah, I just love this Triceratops so much. So let's go ahead and jump into some comparisons. All right, so for the first part of our comparisons, we're going to compare it with a human figure as well as a hatchling Triceratops. Both of these are all from like the, you know, the retro Kenner inspired lines of figures that Mattel has made, which I think is perfect for this comparison. So here we got Dr. Alan Grant, and then we got the hatchling Triceratops, and they look pretty good. This Triceratops is definitely a bit on the smaller side, not like, you know, Wild Roar's or Roarvor's size range, like definitely not that. It's definitely a lot bigger than that for sure, but still it's a pretty good size, but again, nowhere near as the size as the Habitat Defender, which I still think is the best sized Triceratops from Mattel. But overall it is, you know, a larger scale, which does work pretty well in my opinion, regardless. So yeah, with the human figure, it looks really nice. And I brought in the little hatchling because, you know, it is kind of like that Jurassic Park inspired Triceratops with the little osteoderms all over its little body. And I think it works pretty well with this Triceratops, actually. They're almost kind of similar in color. Not really. I mean, they're both green. But, you know, the hatchlings could be, you know, this bright, clean green color. And as they get older, they, you know, become a bit more dull and a bit more darker in color. So, yeah. Comparison with these, they look really nice next to each other. Next up, I thought I'd compare the Triceratops with the other large-scaled real feel dinosaur that we have in this size range, and that's the Carnotaurus. And these two look awesome together. They really do look awesome. I don't know. It's just the fact that we got two real feel dinosaurs from Mattel next to each other, and the scaling is actually pretty nice on this one. I really do like the way these look next to each other. Like, this is something that I would have loved to have as a kid, but also something that Kenner, it just seems so Kenner seeing all these together, even though these are Mattel figures, because Mattel just knocked it out of the park with their you know, their real feel Kenner inspired figures. So yeah, these two look really nice to get together, especially how they're all, you know, real feel and all that stuff. These two look really good next to each other. And then next up, here we have the real feel Triceratops compared with the other large-scale Triceratops roughly in this size range, and that is the gigantic Trackers Triceratops from the Epic Evolution toy line back in 2024. And these two are very similar in size. Seeing it in person, the real feel is actually a tad bit taller because the back end right here is kind of rised up a bit more than the back on this one. But they're roughly the same size. Like, the heads are the same size, the limbs and all that, they're all kind of roughly the same size. But there is a slight difference in the size, especially you can see right here. This one's a bit more beefier, I would say, which works really nicely. But still, I think it's really cool to kind of compare these two large-scale Triceratopses. Despite them being very different in terms of design and colors, they still look really nice next to each other, for sure. And finally, last but not least, here we have the real feel Triceratops compared with the giant Habitat Defender Triceratops from Mattel, which I believe released back in 2023 for the Dino Trackers line. And here we have it. These are the two best Triceratopses from Mattel, but also, in my opinion, probably the two best Triceratopses from any Jurassic toy line, in my opinion. Like, these are definitely much better than what we got from Kenner, and these ones are definitely a lot better than the previous smaller Triceratopses that we've gotten from Mattel. And yeah, I just love everything about these. I love the huge size on this one, the rubber on this one. Their designs are really nice as well, and they're just so good. Imagine seeing this one having that real feel treatment. That would be amazing. But yeah, the two best Triceratops figures from the Jurassic toy lines right here. And they look really nice together. Despite being a size difference, they look really good next to each other. because I just love everything that's going on right here. So yeah, these two look really great. I could definitely see some inspiration for this real feel Triceratops from past figures. Like obviously, I see a lot of the original Kenner Triceratops in it. I also see a little bit of like that young Triceratops figure from the Lost World toy line, even from that canceled Lost World set of that larger Triceratops. I see a lot of that mixed in with this design as well, which actually makes me pretty happy because those are two, especially that larger Triceratops is a really cool design, and that one would have been on par with these ones for being the best Triceratops. But unfortunately, that one never really came to be. So these are two the best ones in my opinion. So yeah, these two are just great next to each other. Alright everyone, so that's about to wrap it up for this review. For my final thoughts of this figure, you guys already know I love this figure. I don't really have any complaints about it, and even if there is something that I kind of wish was applied to this figure, it doesn't take away from me loving this figure in general. So I love this Triceratops, one of the best from Mattel, and probably of all time in terms of a Jurassic toy line. And yeah, the colors are great. The entire sculpt is great on this one as well. And obviously you cannot beat the real feel gimmick on this one. And the sound effects are pretty cool too. I would say that's a plus. It kind of adds to the figure in my opinion. But yeah, I just love everything about this figure, and I highly recommend picking this one up. I see it a lot at Target now. So hopefully it'd be easier for anyone to acquire one if they're still looking for one. So yeah, I highly recommend picking this one up because I think it's just an awesome Triceratops figure just in general. Because this is something that I could definitely see, like this almost looks like exactly like a Kenner figure right here. This is something that kids would get like in the 90s. And of course, you know, myself, I would have loved to have something like this as a kid. Because I would tell you I'd have so many fun adventures playing Jurassic Park with a giant Triceratops like this. So, yeah, Mattel did an awesome job with this one. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.